Greetings and salutations, world. I am the Bearded Con Man, and welcome to my full review of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. This entire first half of this video is going to be completely spoiler-free, so don't worry about that. This is something that'll gear you up to actually go see the film so you know what you're kind of getting into without giving anything away from the actual film. The second half, on the other hand, is going to be completely full of spoilers, so don't worry. I'll put up multiple animations, warn you quite a few times, and give a little bit of a space where I would like you to actually stop this video, go see the film, and then come back for the second half. So don't worry, you'll get plenty of notice. You will be warned. I don't want to spoil this movie for you, but I definitely do want to discuss what happens in that film once you do see it. So let's get started. To begin with, I absolutely loved this film. It was excellent. I will even say that it topped The Force Awakens for me. And that's really saying something because I really enjoyed that film because it recaptured the magic of the original trilogy. Rogue One takes it a whole step further. Now granted, they have a little bit of an advantage because it does take place during the time frame of the original trilogy, and so you do get that world, but the magic was recaptured so well that aside from today's graphics and CGI, it feels like a movie that takes place during the same time as A New Hope. And that, to me, is an accomplishment and real achievement. Because that movie came out in 1977. We are in the year 2016. So it was awesome on that aspect. The characters were really compelling. There's, humor, there's drama. You actually do care about this entire cast, believe it or not. So that really good job because these are characters we've never seen before this film. So they were all very strong. Jyn Erso, I will say this, she is actually different than Rey, and I love that aspect because, the Force Awakens was the first movie that we ever actually got where we had a female lead, and Rey was awesome. So it's cool that they didn't actually, copy how, Rey's character was set up for this character, Jyn Erso. Jyn Erso is her whole other animal. She's scrappy, she's awesome. I really enjoyed her character. Same goes for the entire cast. It was so well done, and it felt like a story taking place in the Star Wars universe. Not like it was, a cheap knockoff of, Luke and Han and the gang. Each character had their own unique aspects to them, and I loved that. It was spectacular. So character-wise, was so good. Story-wise, I was thoroughly impressed in how the story was handled. It was one of those things where it felt like, man, I just thinking about it, they took a little blurb from the scroll in A New Hope where it's like, a band of rebels stole the Death Star plans, and they made it a story worth telling. It wasn't a cash grab. It wasn't a cheap trick to, keep people appeased until Episode 8 comes out next year. It was a story worth telling. It was compelling. It tied together so many things between Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope. It actually, in my opinion, was a better tie together than the end of Revenge of the Sith was. And no spoilers, everyone knows this. The film actually ends just a few minutes before the opening of A New Hope begins, which is such a cool aspect. And you have like that octane feel by the end of the film. It was so well done. The cast, the visuals, the places, just everything that goes on in that film. If you were looking for something more of the original trilogy than what we actually got in The Force Awakens, this is the movie for you. The one thing I will say, this is probably the darkest story that has ever been told in any Star Wars film to date. Even more so than Empire Strikes Back. So in that regard, I would say be hesitant taking the younglings with you to see this film. Because there are some humor aspects in it, but it definitely... Now granted, the kids today are exposed to a little bit more than what, kids were exposed to in the 90s and things like that. But I don't know. In my opinion, just use caution because it was a fantastic film, but I think there's a cutoff in, the age of the kids they actually take to see this film. This is definitely not a kid movie. And I'm not saying there's anything suggestive in it. I'm saying that it's actually dark, violent. I mean, there's real emotion there that might rock a kid, honestly. So just use caution on that. That's the only thing that I will say. So yeah, just the visuals, the story, the characters, everything about this film was fantastic. And like I said before, I actually enjoyed this movie more than I did The Force Awakens, and I loved The Force Awakens. This, to me, is on the level of Empire Strikes Back. And I know that that's the go-to for everything, but I feel like I have an out since I'm actually talking about Star Wars. You know, like how you'll see things like, oh, the new Hunger Games movie is the Empire Strikes Back of the actual film series. You know, things like that. By me actually saying that this is an Empire Strikes Back level of film in the Star Wars universe, I really mean that. The story, the fact that the hopelessness of the Empire actually being fully fledged in this film, it's just spectacular. You have to think, this takes place before Luke comes into the picture, before Han comes into the picture. This is before, there actually was a chance for the rebellion and the blowing up of the Death Star. This is when the galaxy is at its weakest, where there's almost no hope. There's just desperation and just chaotic depression, honestly. It's such an interesting aspect, and I love that they did it. It was incredible. So definitely go see that movie. If we want to go stars, I will say 5 out of 5. There might be a little bit of a better rating system that I'll come up with on my own. But yeah, 5 out of 5, honestly and truly. Go see that movie. It was excellent. As far as seeing it in the theaters, definitely go see it in the theaters. It actually has a very immersive feeling. You feel like, it's not you're just watching on the screen. It feels like you're there. It is so well done visually. I actually saw it in IMAX 3D because that's what I do when I go to see these blockbuster films. I feel like, that's the best way to see the film, and this was no exception. The 3D has kind of evolved from things popping at you to actually, making the picture go almost like a window into that world. So it was really excellent. If you have that option, I highly recommend that you go see it in IMAX 3D. So again, Rogue One, a Star Wars story, fantastic film, fantastically well done. I can't wait to see it again. I'll probably go see it again this weekend, to be completely honest with you. So that's going to do it for the first half of this video and my spoiler-free review. If you have not seen this movie yet, I would ask that you please stop this video right now, go see Rogue One, and come back for the second half. I do not want this movie spoiled for you. I do not want you to know anything that would, jeopardize your excitement for this film. So stop this video now.